Hey YouTube, how's it going? Nerdy Narwhal here, and I'm back again today with another 6-scale action figure review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Caustic Plastic Masterclass Fantasy Warrior. And oh boy, has this company come a long way since their first third-party unlicensed take on Conan. When I was first getting into the hobby, I remember checking out the original Caustic Plastic Fantasy Warrior outfit and the body that you could buy to go with it. At the time, that was a KPO2, KPO4 body. I'm not quite sure. I remember. But, it was an awesome set. Really cool. And I owned it and I put it together and I had this really cool Schwarzenegger Conan on display. But over time, the Schwarzenegger body that they used really started to show signs of age and not being up to the same quality that was coming out in the market at the time. And also the fabric goods, the cloth goods, the leather, which was great and super well done in this scale, really started to peel and air and wear and age, and just started to fall apart. So I definitely needed to upgrade my Conans after a while. So the first figure that I did that with was the Mr. Toys Conan that came out, another third-party unlicensed Conan. It was a kit that came out for around $70-$80. It really wasn't too expensive. I popped that on a Fison M35, which is the type of body that it was made for, and, it got the job done for a Conan the Destroyer look for a while. That said, KP came out with this Masterclass set, and there was a lot of stuff that I didn't really like about the Mr. Toys one either, particularly the rooted hair. Just did not look right to me. So, this guy came out, had to hunt it down, had to snag it and pick it up, and boy, is it awesome. I was really hoping for a Conan to end all Conans in my collection without having to go the custom route and spending $600-$700 on a, perfectly made one by Dario, the guy who owns and also does the Caustic Plastic stuff. So this set came out. You can currently get it for right now, I think about $250 or so bucks on eBay. Then you got to get the Fison M35 body, which is what this guy's on, which is going to run you probably around another $80. So you're looking at just a hair over $300, honestly, unless you can find this clothing set for SRP, and you can find somebody who's going to give you a good deal on a Fison body. Or maybe you do what I did. You're in the Facebook groups, and you just find another cool collector who has the whole thing put together already and is willing to send it your way. So, all right, I'm going to get him off the rotating display base here real quick. Take that out. And we'll hop in for a closer look at the newest and best third-party Conan action figure on the market right now. First of all, let's take this off, and we will go in for a closer look at that head sculpt. It's a good head sculpt. It's not perfect. I would say that the paint isn't quite up to, Hot Toys, but it is really good. It's definitely Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I really like what they did to create a very subtle 5 o'clock shadow effect on Conan. It looks really good. It comes across very well. It's kind of orangey looking, but Conan was pretty dark, pretty greasy and dirty in that whole movie, so it's a great sculpt overall. The eyes have a goodly amount of realism behind them, and I'm not doubting at all who this is. The hair is sculpted, which I actually like. This is when you get much longer than this kind of hair this length, you always got to go rooted, in my opinion, and sometimes even for this length. But it's still at the point where you can get away with at least well sculpted hair. and you're not definitely needing to go rooted. And that's what they've done. We've got a pretty well sculpted hair to go along with this guy. So I'm pretty happy with it. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of rooted hair. I like it when it's done really well, when it's done right. The Viper Studios Gandalf the White, could not imagine that figure with sculpted hair. But all too often in production pieces coming from a factory, it is a bit easy to mess that up. Now you will see one of the downsides to this figure having sculpted hair is when you go for a super dynamic pose, that hair right here can bite into the Fison body. So I've got these permanent little divots now in the shoulder there, which is kind of a bummer, but not the end of the world. Fison bodies are pretty widely available. It's pretty replaceable, honestly. So I'm not too concerned with it. Coming off of the Fison body, talking about that real quick, this set is now made for the Fison body. I put the original KP set on a Fison body. It didn't work out the best because the sculpt for that figure was made for the KP body, which is honestly a bit smaller. It was scaled down from the Fison body. But now that we've got this, overall I'm super happy. If you've had a Fison body, you know the range of motion. It's a nice silicone type of thing. There's not a lot that you can't really do with it. So, boom, get it over there. The joints have complete range of motion, honestly. Everything that this figure can do is probably more than Arnold himself was able to do in the prime of his muscularity. He's a huge guy. Conan's arms behind his head, going down. Now that said, when you do get a little extreme, unless you're really moving that silicone around, you are going to get some funk. But if you're keeping it, kind of how I do, this guy's going to look great. Going to look great all the time, regardless of what kind of pose you get him into. Here I'm going for that classic beach scene right now where he's swinging the sword around and he pauses it behind his head there. The Fison bodies, generally I've noticed that the joints are strong enough and tight enough, even though they're on that die-cast skeleton underneath and they're not ratcheted, to hold a good pose with heavy weapons like this die-cast sword, and not really fall apart or get loose or anything. So I'm pretty pleased. I honestly can't imagine having this figure set on any other body. Maybe like a Hot Toys Commando John Matrix body that you repainted, maybe. But even then, yeah, this figure's great on a Fison. And I'm not the kind of guy to go changing all the figures in their collections on the Fison bodies because I totally stand them. No, I honestly usually don't really like it. They're a little bit too articulated for me, if that makes sense. But this guy, he needs to be on the Fison. So, finishing up articulation, you saw what you could do in the arms. Huge ab crunch, huge back bend, huge range of motion forward with the legs, huge knee, and exceptional ankle rotation. Absolutely everywhere. I'm going to get this guy standing straight up, and we're going to dive in for a closer look at all of the outfit and the accessories nice and close. So, I'll pop the camera off real quick. Coming down, you've got this leather under jerkin. Looks really good. It's a lot lighter than the first release one, and I'm really not worried about this type of leather fading or peeling. You can already tell this is just such a quality piece of material used. It's really going to last. The same goes for this outer jerkin that he's wearing. That's not going to peel, not anytime soon. Quality of materials used is a massive upgrade over what they originally gave us with their first KPO1, or the Fantasy Warrior set. Coming down to the pants, you've got this furry underpiece, and it does take some manipulating to get that fuzz to look right underneath it. Honestly, I didn't go back and reference Conan's outfit in the movies, the first movie or Conan the Destroyer, to pick which one I wanted. I thought all the cloth goods were awesome, so I stuck kind of everything on him and went with that. I know that in Conan the Destroyer, he's not wearing anything on top. His huge quads are out, and he's just wearing this leather diaper with the fuzzy underneath. But, you know, it almost felt like a waste to me to not have all these other awesome cloth goods on there, so I just went for it. Coming down, we've got the pants and the boots with the leather wrapped around it. Everything looks awesome. Everything is of the highest quality that you're really going to get from a 6 scale mass-produced, especially third-party figure. So, yeah, this this figure's doing no wrong. A lot of love and care was put into designing it, and it really shows with how it looks. This display stand, by the way, is just a little custom one. Just throw some glue down on there, put some real sand on there, maybe some pebbles, and then squirt a little bit of blood, and ta-da, you've got a great custom Conan stand. All right, coming in, oh, let's not miss the necklace there. Going for a close-up. The necklace is okay. Yeah, I could take it or leave it, but it looked cool, and like I said, I wanted to put everything on there. So now let's look at the accessories. Spinning around here, first we will look at the sheath for Conan's sword. It's, again, like everything else on this guy, nice leather piece with those Atlantean symbols, I think they are, or maybe they're Sumerian symbols, kind of etched or burned into the leather. Yeah, that's pretty nice. It works out good. Let's come around to the other side now. Let's not miss the detail on his groin piece, his cod piece. Great detail up in there. Okay, coming around to the other side, we've got another leather sheath that has his dagger in it. The dagger is wrapped with this really thin blue cloth up there, and it just kind of slides right out. You can stick it in his hand or his offhand easily enough if you want to. There we go. You can see it also has some symbols going on in there. Yeah, there we go. It's not electroplated or anything, at least I don't think it is. But, you know, it's just a little fantasy dagger. Pretty cool. And it looks good enough to me. Now let's get to the meat of it. Here is Conan's sword. Nice. That looks good. I know some folks on the Freaks forums were saying that it's not the best replica that they could have taken the model from, but, you know, it looks good enough to me. Honestly, I'm not complaining. You have great detail going up in the middle of it right there. That looks awesome. Yep, all the detail in the handle, the fuller, and the sword itself. It's totally a fantasy sword. Not really something that would make for the most effective type of weapon. Historically, it's, you know, it's got, I think, Shadiversity talked about it. Go watch his video on the subject, I think. But it's a cool sword, and it's completely iconic to a very iconic movie. I wrapped some small string around the handle down here because this figure does not hold the sword very well. The sword was not made wide enough to be well gripped by the Fison hands. And as you might know, that's one of my pet peeves. So I wrapped some cloth around the handle there, so the handle does look kind of bulky. But at least now I can pop that into his hand, and he will hold it tightly without this being all dangly and loose in there. All right, so I'm going to bring it back around, get into some closing thoughts. My thoughts? Awesome. This is an awesome figure. And I was originally going to go all in with the Chronicle Collectibles licensed Conan. I was really excited to get a full-on licensed Conan the Barbarian 6-scale action figure. But as we know, there was some drama over there. Things dried up, and that figure is not coming out anymore. And I was like, dang, I really need to upgrade my caustic plastic Conan, that older one, and that Mr. Toys that I had, because they just weren't perfect to me. So what did I do? I got the Masterclass as soon as I saw it available. And boy, I'm not disappointed. Honestly, I don't think that the Chronicle Collectibles piece would have been nearly at this level of quality. I hate to say it. It would have been awesome just the same. And if you don't like the seamless bodies from Fison, that definitely would have been the way to go. That's why I was really hype on it. And it's always cool to have a licensed piece. But that said, this guy was designed with so much love and attention to detail, and respect for the property that it comes from. So, yeah, this guy is quite the labor of love, and it shows. It's a great figure. Awesome piece. If you can find it for, around that 300 mark altogether, piece it together, put it up, yeah, it's totally worth it. That's like basically the price for a average Hot Toys after shipping now. So this guy is quality. It's awesome. And if you like the Conan, you're into the classic 80s movies or high fantasy in general, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Snag it. It's well worth it. It's worth it for the quality of the materials used in this piece alone. Super well designed. You will enjoy having this in your collection. The only thing I'd say you've really got to watch out for, and you can see it's already happened on his van brace over here, is, my gosh, those little tiny metal balls fall off like that super easily. So you may end up going in there with some glue yourself and sticking them on more permanently and more effectively. It doesn't really bother me though. Not really at all. I'm not paying attention to that. I'm taking it in as a whole. And as a whole, this piece is awesome. Alright guys, that's all I got for you today. If you have any questions, or if I missed something, or you just want to talk about the figure, go ahead and sound off in the comments. I'll get a dialogue going with you. I enjoy doing that. Anyways, stay happy, stay healthy, and keep on collecting. Bye-bye.